Howdy, my name's Ian and I love rum, and today we are going to be proofing rum. This is part 4 of our multi-part series on how to make rum. This is a follow-up to part 3, which we discussed our spirit run where we did our cuts and we were left with hearts. Now we have our hearts cut here in this 55-gallon drum. We're looking at about 42.6 proof gallons of rum right now. And a proof gallon is a gallon of alcohol at 50% alcohol or 100 proof. The actual proof of this rum right now is a 150.23 proof. So the actual volume is not 42 gallons. It looks like it's a little closer to 25 gallons right now. So we're going to be adding water to this. That's all proofing is we're adding water to dilute your spirit. And we're going to be dropping it from that 150 proof down to exactly 40 proof exactly 40% alcohol or 80 proof. I've run it through a calculator to get a rough estimate of how much water we're going to be adding to this. And my calculator says that we need to add about 25 gallons of water to this. So looking at this drum right now, it looks like we got about 25 gallons. We're going to be adding another 25 gallons to it. So it's going to be pretty much a full drum, and that will be our batch of rum that we'll end up bottling. But yeah, all proofing is just adding water to your spirit to dilute it to the desired proof. Water is a very important ingredient, and in our case, it's 60% of what's going to be in the bottle. So 40% of that is alcohol. The other 60% is water, and that's why it's important that we don't use city water. We're in the city of Houston, and our tap water here is not that great. We use a spring water. It's a Texas spring water. It's got a nice flavor to it, and it really pairs well with our rum. It's really the best stuff that I've found so far. Maybe you live somewhere where they have better quality water available out of the tap, and it might work well. But even still, you're going to be running into all kinds of chemicals and stuff that the city municipalities put in there, and you don't want those in your spirit. So I recommend using some sourced water, some good stuff. It's going to make a big difference. But anyway, patience is important with this. Proofing, it takes time, and this is going to take multiple days for me to proof it. Usually I never proof it all in one day. It's just, you need to be patient with it. You need to move slowly, and there's a few different reasons for that. But I never add like it tells me, my calculator tells me that I need to add roughly 25 gallons. I could just dump 25 gallons in there. But if some part of my calculation was wrong, I can overproof it. You can also potentially add the water too quickly. Fortunately, alcohol is pretty hygroscopic, so it's going to bond to those water molecules and it's going to absorb that, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So anyway, I'm going to start adding water. I'll probably add 10 gallons at least today and get it closer, and then come back tomorrow and continue just adding water until we slowly dial it into that number. And the closer we get to our desired proof, the slower I'm going to add water, because once we get to that 80 proof that we're shooting for, if we drop below it, there's not really a way to get that water back out without running it back through the still again. So it's important to really take it easy. That's another point I want to bring up. I set aside, every batch I do, I set aside a little bit of, I'm not sure if this is in the frame, let me pull this over. So I set aside a little bit of high proof. I pull a few gallons of this aside, just in case we accidentally cross over that 80 proof. I can add this back in and bring it back up and redial that proof in. It's just, I highly recommend just pulling a little bit of your high proof stuff aside, just in case you accidentally add too much water, because it happens. No matter how careful you are, it does happen. So always keep a little bit of high proof stuff on hand just for making those kind of corrections. But anyway, I'm gonna start adding our water. We've got our Texas spring water here, and literally just dumping it in. So we'll add water here, and I'll check back in as the proof continues to drop. All right, so we've been adding water slowly. We're getting closer to our desired 80 proof, and as you can see, there's little bubbles floating around in here, and that is the water that we added that has not yet been absorbed by the alcohol. So if you're proofing and you're adding water to all those little bubbles, as you can see them floating up, you gotta wait till all of those go away. You cannot take an accurate proof reading until all these bubbles dissipate. This is one of the main reasons that proofing takes so long. So we're gonna have to make sure that those bubbles go away, and then we can take another reading. Add some more water, wait till the bubbles go away, and then take another reading. Rinse and repeat until the desired proof is reached. All right, so this is day 3 since we've been proofing, and I just hit 80 proof a little while ago. So here we are confirming it with our fancy pants hydrometer. We'll go ahead and float that in there, see what it says. I already went ahead and took a reading with my fancy pants digital instrumentation. But whatever this says, we're gonna have to compare it against the temperature. So this hydrometer is calibrated for 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and as you can see, the temperature of the rum here is 69.3 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're gonna punch that into a calculator. There's plenty of calculators available online. I currently use a software called Alcodins. It's a professional distillery calculator, but you can get pretty close by punching in all you need is your liquid temperature and your proof. So we're gonna take 69.4 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna see what our hydrometer reads here. Let me turn that so you can read the numbers there. Let's see, what does that say there? About 84.5 proof. Now, as you can see, there's kind of a thick line there. It's called the meniscus layer, so you want to take the reading at the bottom of this line, not the top of it. I know the camera's not doing a really great job of showing that, but right here, there's this line, and the measurement you're going to take is at the bottom of that line. So that's 83, 84, yeah, right about 84.5 is where we're at, best I can eyeball it. Good thing I got some fancy pants tools to tell me exactly what it is. Here's what that says right there. It's gonna say about just below 80 proof, so 79 proof. That's what you like to see right there. All right. All right, so now we've got our rum proof from our starting point of 150 proof. We slowly added our spring water, and now we've got a drum full of rum sitting at just slightly below 80 proof, which is right where we want it. So we don't want to go over the 80 proof. Commercial distilling, if you go over that 80 proof, say it's 80.01, I'm going to get a big old fine from the government, so we need to make sure that it's within 0.03, within 0.3 below 80 proof. And we're right there. So we're exactly where we want to be. The proof is perfect. At this point, all that's really left is to put it into bottles and package it up. But before we do that, there's something that's much more important to do. We got to make sure that this stuff tastes right. So let's take a little sample here. And we're gonna smell it and taste it. So I plan to make a whole video series on tasting spirits, but I don't really cover that in this video. So bottoms up. Cheers, y'all. God damn, that's good. So, all right, we've got some damn good rum here. I really think this recipe's coming along. This is something that's definitely going to become something someday. So yeah, that pretty much concludes our video series on how to make rum. Thanks for staying tuned and watching all the different parts of this video series. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of the process. If you didn't understand any of this to start with, I think that you might have learned a lot. If you already knew what you were doing, maybe this kind of clarified some misconceptions that you were having trouble with. But yeah, And if you really know what you're doing, maybe you just saw some processes that I do a little differently than other people do. These are all processes that I've developed over the years that work well for me in our facility. So, yeah, I'm really happy with how this run came out. So, yeah. Anyway, that concludes the video series. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be coming out with more and more Grateful Lane videos about all kinds of stuff rum related in the future. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Until the next video, stay grateful.